if you're a student of TOAnimate, you would have noticed that we have over 100 different custom-made dialogue clips for you to animate and practice lip sync, emotions, and any sort of general acting shots. But we've noticed that most of you haven't been using them. So we're kicking off something new for the TOAnimate community. We're launching a brand new initiative just for our TOAnimate students. Every month, we're gonna give you a brand new assignment, a specific dialogue clip for you to animate. If you participate in this assignment, then you get an invitation where we hang out, break down shots, and give a live feedback with other students there as well. So this will be your chance to learn directly from the team and level up your animation skills. So if you're ready to get more involved, improve your animation, and be a part of something more hands-on, then this is it. So join us at the TOAnimate community. And to give you a sense of what's in store, here's a critique from Vlad, one of our co-founders and instructors, on one of the shots from our last animation challenge.
Hey, Henry. Congrats on winning the best animation category. Super exciting. I love your animation here. I love what you did with Lil Max. I'm always eager to see little cartoony animations people do with this particular rig because it's not been used as much as our main characters. So I love the snappy timing you've put in here and the exaggerated droopy kind of like poses here that you did with the nice line of action, like this especially I love. And then down here on the slap, I think this is awesome, like a super clear silhouette and then like a really nice, and I like the deformation that you put here as he slaps him. So I with the I'm guessing the tweakers that you used, right? And then the slap, of course. So yeah, super awesome. Just want to go through a couple things here, give you a little critique, see if maybe it's useful potentially to you. Just some thoughts and ideas I had while I was watching it. So the first thing here I'm going to go through. So as he's putting down this box, this might be a minor thing, I don't know, but I was kind of thinking that maybe he could start out with the box like lifted a little bit. So that's like when he's actually putting it down. So up here, and he just actually puts the box down at the beginning of this animation and then kind of tilts back with his cranky back here. Just because I wasn't sure if he was like ready to pick it up at first or what he was doing, if he's just holding on to it. So just a minor thing. It's just more like a scene acting thing that I would have added, I think. And then here, as he lets go, so I like the little step forward and then the transition into this pose is awesome. What I want to maybe push a little bit is, well, first of all, as he steps forward, I would just mind the weight. So whenever you're stepping onto 1 foot here and you're lifting off 1 foot off the ground here, you want to just make sure that you push the pelvis just a little bit onto the weight-bearing foot. It doesn't have to be a lot, but just to show that that foot is now taking the weight, because sometimes you can kind of break the illusion of weight a little bit when the pelvis doesn't really move too much, like side to side when the weight leg lifts off, because there's nothing to hold this weight here anymore, right, for the pelvis. So we need to just shift a little bit here, and then as he pushes back into this pose, so this is a really nice pose with a nice clear line of action. I would actually like to push the snappiness into this pose a little bit, because here you have all these in-betweens going around, right? So you have this whole broad action as he comes around, but I don't know if you necessarily need all these in-betweens. I think we could possibly do is take out a few of these in-betweens and potentially like try and add a bit of drag here. So as he's coming up, you can really try and drag his upper body here and maybe even his head, just to push that cartooniness to it. And then as he comes around, potentially you could just pop right into this pose right here. So you can even like exaggerate the arc of his back here. So you have this kind of pop from here and then bam, like right into here. Just because like these kind of straight up and down, like this pose in particular, kind of straight up and down pose tends to be a little bit stiff. Like I know your key poses I think are awesome, but I think you could pay a bit of attention to some of the in-between poses as well to design them. I actually went ahead and tried to find a clip here. I went to look at some Ren and Stimpy clips because these are always awesome to look at for like snappy, cartoony poses. So here's one pose where he has like a similar spine reversal to what you're doing. And just to step through it here, you see here he's kind of like, he's got Ren here behind him in this nice line of action, this arc. And then as he's going to throw him down onto this thing, on the ladder here. So you've got all these in-betweens here for the anticipation, right? This kind of cushioning. And then as he comes up, he jumps and there's a huge drag right here, right? So there's like this massive drag where his Ren's head, I think, is pretty much in the same spot right here, right? And then over a couple frames, he just whacks him onto the other side here, and it just completely reverses the arc. Like there's really no like middle in between here because it's not really that necessary. Like all you need is the start position and then the final position right here. And you can see every pose is nicely designed and it has all this arcs and things. And then you have this kind of cushioning in between here, and then he jumps down here with a nice arc again as well. So there's a nice line of action to every single pose, but it's really snappy. And I think that idea can hold true for your animation too here. You can, I think, definitely push the snappiness of it by avoiding some of these long in-betweens and these very like straight up and down poses. Now, maybe this action is not as snappy as the one, this example here, like this maybe is a little more forceful than this one, but still, I think you can apply a little bit of that kind of idea to snap him right into here and then settle him into this pose, which is really nice. So let's just go down here. Oh, the other thing too is I kind of found that this hand sticks a little bit in space, which is not too big of a deal for this kind of like style, but I think because of this long in between, it just kind of caught my eye. Maybe as he's stretching into this pose, you might want to push his butt a little more forward, and then the hand might also kind of push forward a little bit as you do that, just so it doesn't stick in space like this. It looks like it kind of like looks a little stuck to me. But anyway, just gonna move on here. This is awesome. I love how he just droops down like this and he looks at the present while he's in this pose. That's awesome. And then he kind of comes up here, which is nice. Now this anticipation here is really nice. I kind of found that his eye contact breaks a little bit. Like you can see as he's turning, he's now kind of looking up here. And I think to kind of avoid the doll look, I know it's hard for him. He doesn't have much of a, white portion of his eye, the sclera, right? It's just a pupil. But you can still kind of tell that his eye direction sticks. It doesn't really change as he's moving. So I think in each pose, as you move here in the in-betweens, you want to just update the eye position so he's always got his eye on the target. So it doesn't feel like he's like a doll, right? Like as you move the head, the eyes just stick in one place. So I think you can move them a little bit. This is probably a bad drawing, but just something to show that he's still looking at the target here. And then I think with the anticipation too, there's that same idea where there's quite a lot of in-betweens here. I think you could probably do something like maybe bounce them down just a little bit, like have a slight like a pre-anticipation to the anticipation. So potentially what you could do is just bounce his pelvis down a little bit rather than going up and over. You can do like a down and then into this pose. I don't know if you know what I mean here, but if I were to draw out the arc, it would be like on his pelvis, he would kind of go whoop, and then into this pose here, and then into his smear frame over here. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, just something to avoid these long in-betweens and this kind of like going over the top of his head, like this kind of arc that he does, but just try and like snap into the pose a little bit quicker. And then here, I really like this smearing that you do here. I think you can push it even further. Like, I don't think you need to be too conservative with just stretching his face a little bit. I think you could probably take out a couple frames and just have one crazy like smear frame, his face like really stretched out, and like don't be afraid to really go crazy with his hands and just do something like that. Because if it just happens over one frame, we won't like notice it, but we'll feel it, and I think it'll look really cool. Yeah, I can see you flipped his foot here. I don't know if that was like intentional to make a smear or something, but yeah, even with his foot, like I'm sure you can stretch it and do some crazy stuff here. So yeah, feel free to go crazy and push it. And I think it's always more fun to see how far you can take things, right? Then this is awesome here. I love this pose. It's really, really nice. I like the kind of pondering, and the expression is really cool as well. I'm looking around. This is great. Again, really nice line of action here. And then some of these poses here, One thing that I kind of was thinking is it's maybe not a big deal. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But sometimes I would kind of like to hold them still a little bit longer. So rather than having all this like micro movement, just kind of pop into the pose and let us really register it. Because sometimes when it goes by, like it's hard to really register what the character was doing if they're moving around a little too much. So even here, right, as he pops into this pose, I was kind of hoping he would just stay in this pose just for a few more frames because he's kind of moving around and wobbling around quite a bit here. So I don't know, maybe it's just me, but yeah, sometimes I just, it was a really nice pose. I kind of wanted to see it just for a little bit more, just to register it, like really see what was going on here because I kind of missed it the first time. And then, here again, like he transitions to looking over here quite quickly. I think it'd be nice to just hold the pose and instead take out some of the in-betweens. Like you don't even have to necessarily retime it. I think you could just take out a few in-betweens and just put those frames onto the pose instead so we can really read that pose. And the breakdown here, so you have a nice drag on the head. I think you can just like arc his head motion just a little bit because again, it feels like there's quite a lot of in-betweens and it's going like this, like over the top. I think you could just have him dip down as he's, rather than again just having this is the kind of thing that I want to try and avoid, is like as he's coming around you have this big broad arc. Like instead I would try and maybe do something like, you know, if he's in this position and then I dip him down and drag the top and then at a certain point just pop it like this, if you know what I mean. Like, so you get more of a, on the head here, if there's a head on this character right here, kind of like this kind of thing. Just dragging the top part here and having more of an arc to his head going this way, like this. I mean, you don't have to. You could go over the top too, but the thing I'm mainly looking for is a little bit more snappiness, I think, to the way that he transitions into this pose here. Yeah, I think potentially you could have like this frame here rather than having him up here. Could push his head down, have his shoulders here, kind of like that. So he kind of goes like this, right? And then have that pop into this pose here. If you can kind of see what I mean here. Anyway, maybe it doesn't make sense, but you can feel free to maybe try it out, like see if it works for you. Push him down a little bit here and then just quickly pop him into here. Let me move on here. And then this part here, I love that you move the hands first, have the contact here, leading with the hands, which is really nice. Again, I think maybe you could take out a couple of in-betweens here and just go from here over to here, just pop right into it, and then just kind of settle right here. Now, this part here, where he's kind of lifting it up with his finger, I'm not too sure with the way that he flicks this up, because it looks like he flicks it up, but it goes flying like crazy. So maybe if he comes a little closer here and he's really kind of squinting. So he's trying to like peek into it, like be really sneaky, and just as he lifts it up just a crack like this, he's trying to peek through the crack and just be very sneaky with it. And then as it pops open, it's not him popping it open with his finger. Like you can keep his finger here. You can have the box pop open because the robot is the one that actually popped the box. So just to make that clear, like as he's coming up, maybe you have the robot's hand like up here, like pushing it like this. And then the hand can like go down again and then he can come up. I don't know if there's enough time for that, but just to show like it's the robot that's popping the box open, and then that's what can startle him and go into like this pose back here. So maybe he's gonna be like, as he goes back, maybe actually push his head even further. Can kind of pop him up. And have him be like surprised, right? So maybe he's and like startled a little bit. So as the robot pops out, he goes, oh, what's going on? And then he gets the slap. And the slap is perfect. I don't have no notes on the slap. So yeah, just have him like peeking in a little bit, like, oh, what's going on there? And then boof, like this comes up and he's like, oh, what's going on? And then as this comes up, as the robot comes up here, and then he can do the slap, like this pose right here, where he's like startled. That's kind of what I'm thinking of. And then he gets slapped. And then this is awesome, this stretch right here. So yeah, that's just some of my thoughts. Hope that helps and get some ideas from it. Hope I didn't ramble too much. And yeah, again, congratulations on winning the first place here. And hope to see a lot of more great stuff from you. So take care.